Hello and welcome back to Blue Flag Bandits, the series that drives F1's worst cars since 2010, so you don't have to. Essentially, the series where we drive the back-of-the-grid team cars in the desperate hunt for points, and it is round 7 of 2012, Season 3, in the HRT F1 12, and it's not been great the last few rounds since that just incredible podium position out in Malaysia. We find ourselves on a run of just pretty terrible results. Monaco, not good. Spain, not good. Bahrain, not great. Bahrain was all right, I guess. Finished ahead of a couple of established cars there. But yeah, penalties in both Spain and Monaco. Both both definitely our own fault. Over-aggressive with Kobayashi in Spain, and too late on the brakes when being lapped by Daniel Ricciardo. But kind of living on our early season form. You'll see what we mean in just a second. We are 13th in the standings at the moment, 3 clear of Kobayashi and 5 behind the other Sauber of Sergio Perez. Again, thanks to that 3rd place in Malaysia back at rank 2. At the top end of things, Mark Webber leads the way by 22 points, trying to reclaim the title he lost on countback in 2011 to his teammate, no less. Button is in 2nd, just ahead of his teammate Lewis Hamilton. Alonso not far behind. There's Vettel, our defending champion, down in 5th. The Lotus cars now, 6th and 7th. Grosjean, early season pace setters, slipped backwards. Raikkonen had a terrible start to the year, but has kind of recovered it in the last few rounds to move into 7th. There's Maldonado in 8th. He's having a good season so far, ahead of both Mercedes cars of Rosberg and Schumacher. Massa down in 11th has had a pretty terrible year as well. There's Perez, there's ourselves and Kobayashi. And then you've got Ricciardo, Verne, Hulkenberg and De Resta, your only other point scorers. Just one established team car yet to score. That's Bruno Senna down in 19th, ahead of Kovalainen, Glock, Petrov, Peak and Della Rosa, who's last. And post-race, you'll also see the 25th driver, Narain Kartikeyan, who, again, still haven't worked out / checked if he gets ported into the game in seat number 2 if I take Pedro's seat, or whether he just moves if we move teams. But we're not going to move teams. We're obviously going to stay with HRT for all of 2012. In the constructors, we're 8th, quite a distance behind Sauber, and just 8 clear of Toro Rosso, but also 12 clear of Force India, who have scored some points. At the top end of things, there's a 1-point gap between Red Bull and McLaren, which means that the constructors at the moment looks like it could be a fairly decent battle. Ferrari are in 3rd, a little bit cut away, but with a comfortable gap to Lotus, who themselves have a comfortable gap to Mercedes, who themselves have a comfortable gap to Williams. And then it's Sauber, who are just in behind ourselves, Toro Rosso, Force India, Caterham and Marussia, the bottom 2 in the standings. And we arrive at what I've said on a number of occasions is my absolute favourite circuit. We took pole here in 2010 and finished 2nd in a mixed conditions race. 2011, not so good, and I'm not entirely sure it's going to be any good here either. Car just isn't quick enough, no KERS. Only use DRS, obviously, if you're behind somebody, which we're often either a long way behind people, or we get a good start and we jump up in front of them, and then we're just defending. And there's a big long back straight here, which could prove problematic for our little HRT F1 12. But, as I say, it's a circuit I really, really love. It's my absolute favourite Formula 1 circuit to drive. The races in real life also pretty good for the most part, aren't they? So we're desperately hoping here, I think, that we can walk out with something, but based on the form since Malaysia, that might be more difficult than expected. The best thing to do, though, I think now, is to get out on track and see what we can do in this Cosworth-powered machine as we close rapidly on what is essentially our swan song season as HRT. Well, not just as HRT, but HRT's swan song season. It was all kind of downhill from here. From Monaco in real life for them. They had their best result of the season through Kartikeyan in Monaco, which was like 15th, I think, if I remember rightly. It might be 14th, but it was fairly low. But it was good enough, I guess, for HRT. But by the end of the season, they were gone. So we got to try and restore a bit more pride. But let's get out to practice at Canada, and while we do, we'll talk about the 2012 Canadian Grand Prix. Round 7 of the season saw the circus head to Canada for the Canadian Grand Prix, and the build-up was marred by protests both within the sport and outside of it. After Webber's Monaco win, the other teams sought clarity on some of the parts used on the Red Bull. While the win was uncontested, the FIA deemed that the parts used were illegal, so the team were forced to change them. Charlie Whiting, the FIA's technical delegate, also believes the holes in the axles contravene technical regulations, necessitating further change. In Canada itself, there were threats and protests from student bodies, stating the race was part of a capitalist class, and some stating the race represented sexist, anti-environmental, elitist and economic values that must be abolished. There were protests at a pre-race function, nude protests in front of tourists on the Friday, and further protests on the Saturday, though the race was able to go ahead as planned. Practice saw a few incidents, Kovalainen crashing heavily at turn 9 in the first session, bringing out the red flag. HRT also saw a mechanic taken to hospital after being hit by Pedro de la Rosa, though he had no serious injuries. It was Hamilton who led the way ahead of Vettel, who was noted for cutting the final chicane to avoid Senna before a flying lap, and Rosberg at the end of practice 1. Hamilton would also lead the second session ahead of both Ferraris, but it was a session that included a heavy accident, this time for Senna at the final chicane, who destroyed one of 2 experimental rear wings Williams had brought with them. The final session saw Vettel finish top of the standings ahead of Alonso and Hamilton, though Kimi Raikkonen was fined after a dangerous pit entry during that practice session. Qualifying started as it usually did, with the 3 new teams dropping out. However, as a statement of how Caterham were progressing, both Caterhams out-qualified John-Eric Vergne. De La Rosa would also put his HRT ahead of both Marussia's, an impressive result for the Spaniard. The second qualifying session was closely fought, everyone having to push to make it through. Maldonado pushed slightly too hard, however, clipping the wall of champions in the final chicane and eliminating himself in the process. Kimi Raikkonen would be the big name to fall, only able to put his Lotus into P12. It would be Sebastian Vettel who took pole position ahead of Hamilton and Alonso. Webber would line up 4th with Rosberg, Massa, Grosjean and Di Resta in behind them. Schumacher would line up 9th, but was visibly frustrated by a slower driver on his fast laps, though no action was taken, and Button would complete the top 10 after using the harder tyres for his laps.
Okay, looks like the weather's going to improve shortly. Rain will ease off in 5 minutes' time.
The start of the race was clean, Vettel getting away ahead of the pack, while Massa managed to get past Rosberg as the opening lap continued. Di Resta would also then get past the Mercedes, but was unable to keep pace with the top 5, making a gap between the top 5 and Di Resta's little clutch. After getting past Rosberg, Massa began to close in on Webber in 4th, but the Brazilian would push too hard and spin, sending him down to 12th place at the back of the group led by Paul Di Resta. The opening pit stops were fairly staggered, Vettel being the first to stop with the leaders, with Hamilton pitting a lap later, managing to come out ahead of the Red Bull, though Alonso would manage to jump them both. The race settled into quite a rhythm, strange after 2011, strategy being the main name of the game. As the stops cycled through, Hamilton found himself in 3rd after his final stops, but was decimating a gap ahead of him, forcing both Alonso and Vettel to bet for fresh tyres at the end, leaving Hamilton to take victory and become the 7th different winner in the first 7 reigns. It would be Grosjean and Perez who'd complete the podium, Vettel recovering to 4th after his late stop ahead of Alonso, while the points would be completed by Rosberg, Webber, Raikkonen, Kobayashi and Felipe Massa.
stable to third.
What's the aim here at a circuit I love so much? Well, it's another circuit that needs power, and as I've said so many times, we don't have it. But there's always the possibility for chaos here, and we may even be able to spring a surprise. So I'm going to aim for 18th place, so top of the Q1 eliminated basically, and hope that we can claim at least one or two more, especially if drivers visit the Wall of Champions themselves.
It's not going to be easy getting into the next qualifying session, but we know you'll give it your all.
In the garage then for qualifying in Canada, practice was a bit of a shot to nothing, really. The conditions were wildly inconsistent. I was being thrown out on intermediate tyres while the track was drying, and not really any representative lap times. Just couldn't seem to get any rhythm either. This might actually be the biggest struggle we've had at Canada so far, and 2011 wasn't exactly a cakewalk. But hopefully in the dry, at max attack, we might be able to do something. But let's get out there, see if we can set a lap time good enough to at least mix it with our fellow back markers.
Your time for the first sector was good, but you're losing a little time in sectors 2 and 3.
Fastest lap in Q1 then, and we've got a decent run through turns 1 and 2, actually keeping the car fairly planted. The next mini chicane, you can take an awful lot of entry curve, which is exactly what we do, which kind of throws us through the middle nice and fast. Glide around this right-hander and into the chicane. You can see purple first sector, strong in the first sector pretty much the entire weekend. A little wide on the exit, clipped the wall ever so slightly, cost us a slight amount of time, but into yet another chicane. This one, we didn't seem to have quite as much decent traction on. We ended up having to take an awful lot of curb there as we didn't get the turn in on the first part. Heading down though to the hairpin at the back end of the circuit. Still up on our best time, but down on the time to get through. Nice and neat and tidy through there, avoid the wall on the outside, and then it's just power all the way to the end here. Giving it absolutely everything that the Cosworth engine has, and with the DRS open into the final chicane before the Wall of Champions. We take an awful lot of curb in these earlier games, even with the sausages, which is exactly what we do. Bounce over, keep the pace up, stay to the right for the path of least resistance. Still not quite enough though to get us through.
In the final 2 sectors. That's 19th on the grid, pretty much where we expected you to be.
And qualifying comes to a conclusion with the normal back 6, joined by Daniel Ricciardo in the drop zone. However, I had more pace than that time. Was on a lap that had a purple first sector, a green second sector, and as I came into the final chicane, got it all wrong, went straight into the Wall of Champions. That lap might have moved me into 18th, may have even just about squeezed me into Q2. Started off on a flying lap right at the end of the session and looked good, and then lost it in turn 2. So that was it. That's all she wrote for qualifying. Frustrating, but signs are good in terms of pace. It's going to be a tough race, this one, with that long back straight, but with any luck we can get a good start running down into the first few corners, find our way past a few guys, and maybe try and defend for our lives. But let's cross to the race and see what Montreal has in store. Here we are then in the garage for the Canadian Grand Prix of 2012, and 19th, about usual, exactly where we started last year, exactly where we finished last year as well. Those heady days of getting into Q2, even Q3 on a semi-regular basis in 2010, long gone. But a track I love, and a track I felt kind of confident on through qualifying if it wasn't for a couple of silly mistakes. But we'll talk about our hopes for the race in just a moment. Let's take a look though at the grid. It's Fernando Alonso on pole once again, ahead of Jenson Button. Championship leader Webber is in 3rd, ahead of Hamilton. Nico Hülkenberg in the Force India up there in 5th. Great qualifying for him. Then it's Vettel in 6th, ahead of Rosberg, Perez, Raikkonen and Kobayashi, the top 10. Massa at least getting into Q2 but not making it into Q3, continuing his pretty poor run of form so far this season, with Paul di Resta and Bruno Senna right in behind him. Then it's Maldonado, Grosjean, Schumacher down in 16th. Then it's the two Toro Rossos, Ricciardo behind Verne, Ricciardo knocked out in Q1 alongside us, Petrov, Kovalainen, Glock, Peak and De La Rosa. And well, Canada, as I've said a few times already in this episode alone, let alone the other episodes here, I love this place, I really do, despite the fairly dismal 2011 that we had, and despite the, I don't know, disappointing qualifying, because honestly I think we might have had pace maybe just to sneak into Q2, if not top the Q1 eliminated. But you know, it's a quick circuit, quick to drive, quick to make a mistake in places, but certainly one that I feel we might be able to push on. The team want us to finish 18th, which I think is a pretty good objective to aim for. I'd like a little bit more, but we'll say 18th as a kind of compromise benchmark, I guess, because pace-wise we're going to get done on the straights, and as I say, if I make a silly mistake, which I'm liable to do, we will lose all of our ground and fall back. We saw that in Monaco, we saw it in Spain. I think the first lap, maybe even the second lap, could be quite key here. It's twisty and narrow in parts, so we've got to be careful with our moves, but hopefully we'll get a good start, launch off the line and make some ground. But let's get into it. Let's head to the grid for the 2012 Canadian Grand Prix. Alonso on pole, McLaren in next to him. There we are. You can just about see De La Rosa in the background at the back of the field.
We're in a better grid position than we were expecting, so let's see if we can hold on to this position.
Engineer Andy hoping to just hold, but there's the fifth light and away we go at Montreal. Bit of wheel spin and Petrov jumps us. Kovalainen's going to go up the inside. Glock's going to have a go here as well, but it's all going to get just a little tight into turn one, so we will at least regain our starting position and gain one more. I've inadvertently
prime for your next
set primes for the next box, but that might actually be a good idea as Ricciardo's on the inside. Grosjean going for a lunge. He makes it, but we also get past him. It's been a fairly conservative first few corners as Maldonado tries to cut across us. We're past Massa, we're up into 12th, right behind Bruno Senna. The only one of the established cars yet to score this season as Massa tries to look around the outside on the exit of that chicane. Have a little look at the inside at the hairpin. Try and get off of it quicker than he does. But look, he's still going to have the pace to come back at us down here. There's not a lot I can do about that. Maybe I break him into the final chicane, bounce over the sausage curb in the middle.
That's 12th, you're up to 12th.
We are P12 at the end of the first lap. It was maybe a little bit cheeky the way we took it back, but we did get through. Button looks to have taken the lead. Straight into Rich Mix to try and defend. We got nothing. We got nothing pace-wise on Felipe Massa and Paul di Resta who's back there, and Maldonado too, but it's just to hold Felipe off a little there, to a point where di Resta goes side by side with him. Now we have DRS. Massa's going to try and squeeze at the inside in a gap that was closing. So Massa's through, di Resta's through. Going to go side by side into the final chicane. We'll force di Resta over the curbs. So we'll only lose one place there. Massa now has damage because he tried to drive into a gap that really wasn't there. So already out of DRS range. The rest is going to get DRS here. Oh, I think he's got into the back of us. Again, trying the gap that doesn't really exist. He's into the wall, he's still going. Schumacher's gone past him, but Paul di Resta is going to be heading into the pits.
Ferrari getting ready for a pit stop. We think it's going to be Massa. He should be pitting within the next few laps.
Pulling off Massa though. Already alongside me before
ahead in sector 3. See if we can use that to our advantage.
Before I knew he was there really, but he's going to be up the inside. Straight line speed. We get DRS though. That's not really helping. We can't catch up to Schumacher, and Maldonado's gone breezing past us. Schumacher though absolutely just stops in the middle of the road. We nudge him out the way. Retake 13th. More cars in the pits down at the back. The rest has been in to repair the damage. Schumacher gets such great traction off that chicane. A little bit of contact. Well, he's just come into the pits. He's about to get lapped already. I think. If they're not far off getting lapped to Schumacher. Once again though, break earlier. Looks like Massa's got past Senna up ahead.
You've taken 13th place, 13th. The gap to the car behind is less than a second. Be aware he may use DRS in an attempt to pass.
The inside, Schumacher goes right round the outside. He'll break earlier for the chicane again, but I think we're going to be too far away to do anything about that.
We estimate that Schumacher should be pitting in the next 4 laps.
Slipstream here now, see if we can make a move into turn 1. It'll be a dive if we do. Fight to hold 13th is over and done with, I think. We're going to have Maldonado on us next. Maldonado going on the long run as well, because he's on the primes. Grinding a little there. Now, I think that's Romain Grosjean got behind him in the Lotus.
You've got a slight lead over Maldonado.
It's one of the Toro Rossos. Yeah, we stay to the inside, so there's no worry about us cutting off the Williams like we did to di Resta, but once again, it's through. We've got better traction because we're on the softer tyre. We can sort of stay with the Williams.
The pit crew are ready for you at the end of this lap. Pit this lap.
The inside into turn 1. Comfortable manoeuvre. Pitting at the end of this lap anyway, and
you're doing well. It's
going
coming
to run longer.
With 4 places up on our predictions.
Third car in that train behind us. Third car's Kovalainen. Not going to fight Maldonado much here because we're going in the pits. But just behind Vern is Heikki Kovalainen and Caterham. He stays out.
You've picked up some marbles. Expect reduced grip until you can wear them off. Stay on the racing line.
Grosjean, Ricciardo and di Resta back at the moment. Obviously di Resta because of the incident with me. Grosjean had a bad start, seems to have got shuffled back.
Stay clear of the white line, we don't want a penalty.
Get out ahead of Pedro at least.
The car's got a new set of prime tyres on. You only have to stop once now. 1 stop left.
I think Maldonado, Vern, even Kovalainen are going to get away from us.
The car ahead is running the option tyre. We may have trouble closing the gap during this stint.
See, Maldonado started on the primes. I think the others all on the options, so it's going to be interesting to see when they all start coming in. It looks like we do have cars in at the moment, though. few places back. Blocks in. So Charles Peak stays out. Then we'll get back out ahead of us.
Pedro is pitting. He's pitting now.
Stay ahead of Heikki Kovalainen now. More cars in, Charles Peak being one of them. Definitely Petron as well.
There's a Toro Rosso just in front of you.
Wide through there, it's going to invite Kovalainen. Side, a little bit of contact, he gets on the grass, so it slows him up.
Good, we're 2 places up from where we wanted to be.
Force India in behind Heikki Kovalainen there. That there is, it's Paul di Resta. Sitting duck here to these two. Later on the brakes into the final chicane, Kovalainen has to take a bit of an escape. Di Resta's gone through. Down to 23 in this one. Romain Grosjean out of the race. He's already behind us, thanks to his poor start. So the Lotus is the first retirement. Seemed to hit an invisible jump. Done us any damage apart from time. Kovalainen then has fallen off the back of Di Resta a bit, so that's good. Gonna have a huge amount to fight Paul Di Resta with, but by all accounts he's going to be in soon. Obviously I'm having to come in earlier because of that front wing damage. To the right this time, they'll go around the outside. Getting back on the brakes. Too far away though. Too far away, so we're maybe he's too far away, but we've possibly got the switch on him into turn 1. Just about get out from the back of the car.
Be aware, we think the car behind is
through.
trying to save fuel.
P16, Maldonado, the man in front of us. He's only just come in, I think. And started on the primes. You're looking mean behind us. Inside and keep the Scot behind us. Again, I don't think it's going to be for too long. Inside at the hairpin. Slingshot out. We'll have DRS, but you can see the pace differential.
Looking at the data, you're faster than the car ahead in sector 3. Sector 3.
All late on the brakes. Off-road. All this though has allowed Kovalainen, maybe even Petrov, to come and play. The cheeky thing of falling slightly behind Di Resta across that detection point, but it doesn't work out this time. Once again, we'll just hold the inside line, hug the wall a little. Di Resta this time not making the move. Oh, rear end tries to step out.
Our calculations
Gather it
estimate
up.
that Di Resta will be pitting within the next 5 laps.
Malaysian podium set unrealistic expectations, I think, but we lucked into points in 2011 in Singapore with the amount of retirements, and we lucked into points in Malaysia with the AI, going for a lap 1 pit strategy. We'll get the DRS here. If we do have to slot in behind the Force India. So again, quicker through the chicane and we can out-drag him for a little. Ooh.
We think the car behind is running on full revs. He's trying to close the gap.
Drove across me a little there. It was De Resta's teammate in Bahrain, Hulkenberg, with Ricciardo battling towards the end of the race there to hold on to 16th. And once again, fighting the Force India. And possibly soon at least one Caterham. I think that's Heikki Kovalainen. With everything we've got for P16, P17, it's actually Petrov. So whether Kovalainen's come in or not, I don't know. Or whether he's made a mistake. Marginally behind at the detection point, I think. That it was. But look how fast the Caterham is as well. He's on option tyres. The rest are just a little nudge. Staying right in his slipstreams, Petrov's in ours. Just stays in the centre of the circuit to defend. Loses the rear a little, trying to keep ahead. So he loses the position to Vitaly Petrov. He hasn't fallen far away.
He's less than a second behind and will use DRS to overtake.
How much quicker is Petrov? In front as well, but he manages to actually get away. De Resta's in.
The next couple of laps.
Too far back to try and dive Petrov into turn one. And we stay with the Caterham. Is where I have more pace. Just about edged past. Back into P16. He is not massively far behind us at the moment. Again, trying a tactical ploy here with Petrov. Run too wide, but we are behind him at the DRS detection line. Renault engine so much better than our little Cosworth. Later on the brakes, right the outside into the chicane. Nice little battle this. That might have been tighter. Petrov might have the DRS here. No, I got it. Spectacular. And now he's got to move out of the way for Kovalainen, who's behind him. Very wrong into the last chicane though. I think Petrov's in.
The pit window is open. Come in this lap.
Looks to the inside there.
We're currently looking into the problem.
We don't have DRS, which will prove problematic on our way back out of the pits, but we've come in just ahead of Kovalainen, who looks to have stayed out actually, Heikki. be going a lap later like he did last time. Glock might get past us. No, Glock's in.
Go.
Not Glock stays out. Petrov is going to be the next one.
There's some traffic at the pit exit. Watch out as you rejoin the track.
Get back out ahead of Petrov at least.
You have no more scheduled pit stops, so look after your tyres. You need to let the car behind you past. He's not racing you for position.
We'll let them through, but I really want to get past Kovalainen first. Glock's in. Kovalainen's still in the pits. Yeah, we do just about manage to get past. And we'll run out wide. Oh, this Alonso's there as well. Not an Alonso through. Kobayashi. Sorry, Kovalainen seems to have got that all wrong because he was in the grass. Being right on us.
We're 5 seconds ahead of Kovalainen.
That helps us out a little bit. He's going to have traffic on him soon enough.
Blue flag conditions. Let the car immediately behind through. You're not racing him.
Not really going to need to do much. Let's just stay to the inside and that'll go.
Good job, back up to speed now. Blue flag no longer applied.
Really have to back off, which is good. Try and use the slipstream from the Red Bull here. Just to carry us along. Actually, so far, no major incidents, no major mistakes. Inviting them now, aren't I? I did say I loved this place though. Such a fun circuit to drive in F1 machinery. Don't ever really get to drive it in an awful lot else. The gaming space, not console space anyway. I'm trying to close up now, but surrounded by leaders.
We need you to make way for the car behind. The gap to the car behind is 10 seconds.
I am as well. Try not to lose too much time to these guys.
Back up to speed. Wave blue conditions no longer apply.
Raikkonen runs in fourth. Decent result for Kimi after the season he's had so far. That does come down a bit. We'll at least get DRS to pull me along.
You need to let the car behind you past. He's not racing you for position.
String of cars behind us. Once again, it should be able to just...
The gap between you and the car behind is currently 7 seconds.
Stay to the right and they can slingshot round. There goes Rosberg. Not going to be able to let anybody else through, and Kovalainen is now closing as we lose the rear through the final chicane. Button does, and I think he's taken Webber with him. Don't think that was anything to do with me. Kovalainen's now stuck behind them, moving slowly. Just look back, saw Button get all out of shape, and then he's collected Mark Webber on the outside. Maybe that's promoted into what, P6?
Blue
Sergio
flag
Perez.
conditions. Let the car immediately behind through. You're not racing him.
We'll stay to the right hand side. The Sauber should be able to breeze on past a bit too much hassle.
Webber is in the pits now. He's just entered the pit lane.
Webber's in. He's down to 15th. We're not going to catch him. Obviously, we're far too far behind, but him and Button in for repairs. They've slipped outside the points. Big for the championship, that incident between the McLaren and the Red Bull. To Maldonado, coming down pretty drastically. I don't know whether he's got damage now as well. There's a car headed into the pits. is past the
Be aware,
Maldonado.
we think the car behind is trying to save fuel.
To P15, that's going to make the last few laps interesting because Pasta's going to be an awful lot quicker than we are. Maldonado's going to be on the back of that little queue of cars due to lap. I'm kind of hoping that they'll catch me on the back straight. Looks like we've got Massa and Hulkenberg. Maldonado will get DRS. Stay to the right, there goes Felipe. Hulkenberg will go as well. I assume with the way that Pasta dropped back and then had to take it to the pits that he had damage in amongst all that as well. Just trying to stay in front of the Williams. The Cosworth engines. There's more front wings at the hairpin. Will get in front of us. We will, however, get DRS. But it's on the option tyres. Heading on to our final lap of this one. Am I going to have enough? Oh! Yeah, there we go.
Looks like the stewards have awarded you a time penalty.
This is our final lap, third race in a row that we're going to have a penalty, and we're going to end the race with it as well. Just much like that, just lost the rear, so we're going to fall behind Kovalainen and probably Petrov.
You need to let the car behind you past. He's not racing you for position.
There goes Kovalainen. I think that was Bruno Senna that's gone past us. Another terrible end to a race here.
That's Kovalainen. Go for the overtake.
Yeah. Graphic there finally changing. It's Lewis Hamilton that takes the victory.
Blue flag conditions. Let the car immediately behind through. You're not racing him.
Lining that Schumacher through. He's backing off for Jean-Eric Verne, so we'll go back past him. Not that it'll matter, we'll end with a penalty. Maldonado's still going to finish in front of us, despite the fact we ploughed him into the wall. Just the rear lit up then, and that was it. So we won't finish 16th, but we should at least finish ahead of our target. 17th in the end. 3 races in a row with penalties. That's the most penalties we've had in this entire series. But there it is. We finish ahead of Paul di Resta, Daniel Ricciardo, Vitaly Petrov down 20th. Then Della Rosa and Glock shall peak as well. Grosjean, the only person that didn't finish. Let's take a look at the order. Lewis Hamilton takes the victory, just 6/10 ahead of Fernando Alonso. Then it's Sebastian Vettel in third, Kimi Räikkönen fourth, Rosberg, Perez, Massa, Hulkenberg, Senna's first points of the season in ninth. I knew I'd seen him disappear past us as we were sideways. Then it's Schumacher, Verne outside the points along with Webber, Kobayashi, Button. Maldonado, Kovalainen finish ahead of us. We could have easily finished 15th. 17th, I guess, so we'll take as a result better than expected. Well, that wasn't exactly a high risk move. Just got on the power and the rear end went. And that was it. We went into the side of Maldonado and got given a penalty for our troubles. As you can see, our best lap of the race. The slowest of everybody. So, as much as I love this place, good to see we didn't feel confident. What does that do to the championship stand-ins?
You've held on to 7th in the Drivers' Championship.
We absolutely haven't, Engineer Andy, but thank you. Mark Webber leads the way by 2 points now to Lewis Hamilton, who took the victory. Further 10 back to Fernando Alonso. Button slips to 4th after no scoring. Vettel closing up there as well. Raikkonen is in 6th. Ahead of Rosberg and Grosjean. Maldonado moves into the top 10 with his... or stays in the top 10, sorry, should I say. But at least isn't the only Williams point scorer. Massa is closing on the top 10. He's level on points now with Sergio Perez. Schumacher is in 12th. We remain 13th, still just 3 ahead of Kamui Kobayashi, but now 10 behind Schumacher. Hulkenberg, not yet into double digits ahead of Ricardo. Verne Senna manages to jump Paul di Resta. And then, Kovalainen, Glock, Petrov, Peak, Dalla Rosa, Kartikeyan. The guys not scoring yet. In the Constructors, McLaren lead now by 9 points over Red Bull, possibly in part to Hamilton's win and Vettel only taking 3rd with Webber and Button not scoring. Ferrari 58 points off the lead, but comfortably ahead of Lotus, who lead Mercedes, and it's Sauber, Williams. We're still 8th. We still hold 8th position, just ahead of Force India and Toro Rosso, who are level on points now with Caterham and Marussia. No score. And look, for the most part, Canada went really, really well. Just, I don't know, maybe just over-eager at the end to try and stay ahead of Pastor Maldonado. Maybe should have just slotted in behind him and tried the move up into turn 1. That had worked quite a few times during the race. But we maybe panicked a touch. A lot of getting passed by people on the back straight, but some decent battles, and the AI having their own instance. That final lap, as you saw, debris down at the hairpin, or penultimate lap, should I say. Maldonado, I think, had also picked up damage before, which is why he fell behind us in the first place. We saw Button and Webber from the rear view colliding as well. So the AI is still really struggling to keep it on the road at the moment. But Canada doesn't deliver the miracles as we were hoping. And as I said earlier in the race, hopefully 2013, the Marussia might be a bit more competitive than the HRT and the Team Lotus from 2011. Not holding my breath though, but next up, we get into a dual run of home races. It's the second Spanish home race for HRT at the Valencia Street Circuit. And we will then be heading to Silverstone. Silverstone should be episode number 50. Hopefully we can have a half century and a home celebration, but Silverstone hasn't been kind to us. But Valencia first, somewhere that has delivered us some decent results in the past, at least once. And it'll be the final European Grand Prix at Valencia, and the final European Grand Prix until we go to Baku in 2016. So hopefully you'll join me for that one. Thank you so much for watching. Like, share, comment, subscribe, do all the good stuff. You know the drill by now. Take care of yourselves. I'll see you for the next one. Bye for now.